The bus whizzed into the bustling city of Lagos, a sea of movement and noise that made Priscilla's heart race. The 21-year-old young woman stepped down from the bus, clutching her small bag tightly. Her ebony skin glistened in the sunlight, and her almond-shaped eyes scanned the city with a mix of apprehension and determination. She was here to work, to save, and to build a future that didn't seem possible in her small village. Priscilla was beautiful in a way that turned heads wherever she went. Her smooth skin, natural curves, and radiant smile were blessings she often wished she could hide. It seemed her beauty had brought her nothing but troubled, jealous whispers, unwelcome advances, and suspicions she neither sought nor deserved. Her employer, Madame Gloria, was waiting at the motor park. Gloria was in her late 40s, a stout woman with a sharp tongue and an air of authority. She eyed Priscilla up and down, her expression hard to read. "So you're Priscilla," Gloria said, her voice brisk. "I hope you're ready to work hard. I don't tolerate laziness." "Yes, Ma," Priscilla replied respectfully, bowing her head. Priscilla settled into her new life quickly, waking before dawn to clean, cook, and take care of Gloria's 3 young children. She worked tirelessly, her hands raw from scrubbing floors and washing clothes. Despite the back-breaking labor, she never complained. She had a goal to save enough money to enroll in a tailoring school and eventually open her own fashion business. But trouble soon began. Gloria's husband, Mr. Emeka, was a wealthy businessman who was rarely home. However, whenever he was around, his eyes lingered on Priscilla a little too long. He would find excuses to be near her, asking about her life, complimenting her work. Priscilla, uncomfortable, kept her responses brief and always found ways to avoid him. "Priscilla," Gloria's voice boomed one evening as she stormed into the kitchen. "What were you doing talking to my husband just now?" "Ma, he only asked if I could bring him water," Priscilla replied, her voice steady but respectful. Gloria's eyes narrowed. "Let me warn you now, stay away from him. I don't care what he says or does. You're here to work, not to cause problems." "Yes, Ma," Priscilla said, her heart sinking. She had done nothing wrong, yet she knew her beauty was a constant source of suspicion. If Mr. Emeka's attention was unsettling, Gloria's older son, Chike, was downright brazen. Chike was in his early 20s, a spoiled young man who believed he could have whatever he wanted, and he wanted Priscilla. "Why do you always avoid me, Priscilla?" Chike cornered her one afternoon when the house was empty. "I don't avoid you, sir," Priscilla replied, stepping back cautiously. "Call me Chike," he said, leaning closer. "You are too beautiful to be a housemaid. I could take care of you, you know." Priscilla felt her anger rise but kept her tone calm. "I'm here to work, sir, nothing else." "You're acting like you don't like me," he said, grabbing her wrist. Priscilla pulled her hand away firmly. "Please, don't do this." Chike laughed, but there was frustration in his eyes. "You'll come around," he said, walking away. Priscilla sighed, feeling the weight of her situation. She knew she had to endure this, but she also knew she wouldn't compromise her values. Gloria grew increasingly hostile. She criticized Priscilla's cooking, accused her of being lazy, and even deducted money from her pay for minor mistakes. But Priscilla refused to let the hostility break her spirit. Every night, after everyone had gone to bed, she would sit in her small room and sketch designs for dresses. She dreamed of bright colors, flowing fabrics, and a shop with her name on the signboard. One evening, when Gloria accused her of flirting with Emeka again, Priscilla finally spoke up. "Ma, I respect you and your family. I have never done anything to disrespect your home," she said, her voice trembling but firm. "I'm here to work and save for my future." Gloria sneered. "We'll see about that." Months passed, and Priscilla's hard work began to pay off. She saved enough to enroll in a weekend tailoring course. On Saturdays, she would leave the house early, attend her classes, and return by evening to continue her chores. Her talent was undeniable. Within weeks, she was sewing simple dresses and earning a little extra money from neighbors who admired her work. But Gloria wasn't pleased. "What's this I'm hearing about you going to some tailoring school?" she demanded one day. "I go on my day off, Ma," Priscilla explained. "It doesn't affect my work." Gloria glared at her but didn't argue further. Deep down, she resented Priscilla's ambition. It was a reminder of her own unfulfilled dreams. After 2 years at Madame Gloria's house, Priscilla finally decided it was time to leave. Her tailoring course had gone well, and she had started sewing clothes for neighbors and friends who appreciated her unique style. With the money she saved, she rented a small shop in a busy area of the city. It wasn't much, a single room with a rickety sewing machine, but to Priscilla, it was a dream come true. Her first few months were tough. Customers were few, and she sometimes went home with nothing. Many times, she thought of giving up, but each time, she reminded herself why she started. She worked late into the night, designing and sewing dresses that she knew would one day bring people to her door. One afternoon, as Priscilla worked in her shop, she heard a familiar voice outside. It was Chike, Madame Gloria's older son. Well, look who we have here, Chike said, stepping inside. His smug smile hadn't changed. You've done well for yourself, Priscilla. Priscilla's heart sank. She didn't trust him, and she certainly didn't want trouble. Good afternoon, sir. How can I help you? She asked, keeping her tone neutral. Come on, drop the formalities. You know, I always knew you were special. That's why I liked you, he said, leaning casually against the wall. How about you let me take you out for dinner? Celebrate your success. No. Thank you, sir, Priscilla replied firmly, standing her ground. I'm very busy. Chike's expression darkened. You're still acting too proud for someone who started as a maid. Don't forget where you came from. Priscilla straightened her back, her voice calm but strong. And I won't forget how hard I worked to get here. Please excuse me, I have customers to attend to. Chike left in frustration, but Priscilla's heart was heavy. It wasn't the first time someone tried to belittle her success, and she knew it wouldn't be the last. Word about Priscilla's designs spread slowly but steadily. Her unique ability to blend traditional African fabrics with modern styles caught the attention of a local boutique owner, Mr. Timothy, who offered to sell her pieces in the store. This partnership brought in more customers, and for the first time, Priscilla started earning enough to dream bigger. But success came with new challenges. One day, a wealthy client, Mrs. Oyen, accused Priscilla of overcharging her for a dress. This is outrageous, Mrs. Oyen shouted in the middle of the shop. You think because you're getting popular, you can cheat people? Ma, I charged you the same price I charge everyone, Priscilla replied, trying to remain calm even as other customers looked on. Mrs. Oyen sneered. Girls like you always forget your place. Don't let this little fame get to your head. Priscilla felt the sting of the words but kept her composure. I'm sorry you feel that way, Ma, but my work speaks for itself. If you're not satisfied, I'm happy to fix the dress. Mrs. Oyen stormed out, but the other customers applauded Priscilla's grace under pressure. One day, as Priscilla was fitting a dress for a client, Madame Gloria walked into the shop. Her eyes swept the room, taking in the colorful dresses and the bustling activity. You've done well for yourself, Gloria said, her tone begrudging but with a hint of admiration. Thank you, Ma, Priscilla replied politely, though she couldn't forget the years of mistreatment. Gloria hesitated before speaking again. I need a dress for my sister's wedding. Can you make one for me? Priscilla paused for a moment, then nodded. Of course, Ma. Please sit, and let's talk about the design. As they discussed the dress, Gloria's demeanor softened. I was hard on you, she admitted quietly, but I see now that you're not just beautiful, you're smart and hardworking. You've earned this. Priscilla felt a small sense of closure. Thank you, Ma. I've always believed that hard work pays off. Priscilla's business continued to grow. She saved every penny she could and eventually opened a second shop in another part of the city. She also hired young apprentices, many of whom were girls from humble backgrounds like hers. She became a mentor, teaching them not only how to sew but also how to believe in themselves. One of her proudest moments came when she was invited to showcase her designs at a local fashion show. It was a small event, but to Priscilla, it was a huge milestone. Her designs were met with applause, and she even received orders from a few influential attendees. Years later, Priscilla stood in her flagship store, a large, beautifully decorated space filled with her latest creations. She was no longer the timid, housemaid who was afraid of Madame Gloria's wrath or Chike's advances. She was a confident businesswoman, a respected designer, and a role model for young women in her community. As she looked around the shop, her assistant approached her. "Madam Priscilla, there's someone here to see you." It was Gloria, now older and visibly humbled. She looked at Priscilla with a mix of pride and regret. "I heard about your new store and wanted to see it for myself," Gloria said. "You've come so far." Priscilla smiled. "Thank you, Ma. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it." Gloria nodded. "I always dreamed of being a stylist when I was young, but I wasn't able to. I am jealous and happy your dreams comes through." Then said something that surprised Priscilla. "I'm sorry for how I treated you back then. You didn't deserve it." Priscilla felt a wave of emotion but simply said, "Thank you, Ma. I've forgiven you." As Gloria smiled and left, Priscilla turned back to her shop, her heart full. Her journey had been long and hard, but she had emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever, and she knew this was only the beginning. Subscribe for more stories like these.
Please remember to subscribe to this channel and give my video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video soon. Thank you.